Hello y'all, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. Today, let's chat all about cowls, scarves, and shawls I want to knit. Hello y'all, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. My name is Casey, and this is a channel where I mainly chat about knitting. I also talk a little bit about sewing, crochet, beadwork, whatever tickles my fancy at the moment. And I also love to share about living on a small farm in Arkansas with my husband and our children, where we are beekeepers. We love raising animals, chickens, gardens, and spending time outdoors here in the foothills of the Ozarks. So if any of that sounds like your jam, then be sure and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos. Today I wanted to talk about some different patterns for cowls, scarves, and shawls that I have really been wanting to make. In my head, I keep hearing that phrase as the Cher song. Cowls, scarves, and shawls, they're all Ravelry. Don't worry, I won't be quitting my day job. So while garments are super fun to knit, in fact, this past year I found myself mainly knitting garments, shawls are my first knitting love. I absolutely adore shawls. I love knitting them. I love looking at them. I love wearing them. A lot of times I wear them like I'm wearing this one as a triangle scarf. But sometimes I do just like to wrap them around my shoulders. I have knitted a lot of shawls in my time. I think I know what kind of shapes I like the best and what kind of shapes are not the easiest for me to wear. I also know what kind of yarn I really like to knit a shawl out of. And sometimes I would just rather have a cowl. So I have a list of quite a few different cowls, scarves, and shawls that I have yarn for and would love to knit soon, or are on my short list of patterns that I would like to get yarn for and knit at some point in the future. I've also created a bundle on Ravelry, so you can easily click the link to see all of these patterns plus a few more that I probably won't have time to get to in this video. First of all, let me tell you about what I'm wearing. This is a shawl pattern by Stephen West, and it is the Vertices Unite shawl. And this is without a doubt the shawl that I get the absolute most compliments on from non-knitters. Sometimes I feel like certain knitting patterns we knitters love and appreciate because we know what it took to knit them. It was so fun to knit. We know about the yarn. We can appreciate all the little details, but to non-knitters, it's not really their jam yet. They may be converted. However, this pattern, non-knitters and knitters alike, I have gotten a lot of compliments on. I really love the colors that I chose for this. I made this out of Magpie Fiber Swanky Sock, and then this one blue color, which is striped here with the Magpie Fibers, is Woolberry Fiber Co. So you can find all of the colorways that I used and the yarn that I used on my Ravelry project page for this, and I will link it below. But it has this very neat I-cord bind off all the way around it. I thought that Stephen West did an excellent job with the ease of picking up stitches. This flew off my needles even though it's a very large shawl and it's knit in fingering weight yarn. In fact, there's probably enough fabric here to at least be a short sleeve sweater. I knit this in a very short amount of time and it was addicting and fun and I loved every second of it. So I highly recommend knitting this shawl. Okay, let me pull up my faves bundle. All right, first up, let's talk about a few different cowls I really like. I know noticed that most of the cowls I have saved are color work, and I think that a cowl is a great place to even start a color work project if you haven't done one before, because it is in the round most of the time. It's a small circumference and you're not increasing or decreasing in most cowl situations. The first cowl on my list is the Recollect cowl, which is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass. It is knit up in a sport weight yarn. In fact, the sample uses the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Recollect, and I really like that yarn. I have used it before. It has these really deep, moody colors because of the wool base that it's on, and I absolutely love the color palette that Jennifer Steingass used in this cowl. It looks like it's knit in a tube, so you are doing color work all the way around, and then you are probably going to twist it and seam it together to give it that little twist. So it's kind of like an infinity scarf. If stranded color work is not your thing, you probably won't like this because it is literally stranded color work all the way around. Good thing is that since it's in a tube, I don't think you'll have to weave your ends in. You'll probably just neatly tie a knot and tuck them in the tube and leave them. They're good to go. I would really like to knit this, and I think mainly what I like about this cowl is the colors in this sample, so I probably wouldn't stray too far from the original. Another one I like, which is very beginner friendly, is the Newsprint Cowl by Pearl Soho. This is going to be a free pattern on the Pearl Soho website. You're using 2 different colors of light fingering. I think probably 1 skein of each. However, since it's a cowl and you're not worried about making a sweater fit, you could mess around a little bit with the gauge. I think a regular fingering instead of light fingering would be absolutely fine. All this is going to be a stockinette. It is actually worn with the reverse side out on the stockinette, but you knit it inside out, so you're only having to knit in the round all the way. This is going to be a super simple, mindless knit, but you get some fun stripes, and I actually really like the black and white colors. There's almost 500 projects on Ravelry, so you could see a ton of different color options in case you needed some inspo. Another one I really like is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it is the Moonwake cowl. I absolutely love the colors in her sample. I like the pattern. However, the whole thing is pure stranded color work. And I'm not sure, there may be some rows with 3 color work, and I do not enjoy that. I will do it like 1 row out of 20 and it will be okay. But if it's like every 3rd row, I'm not gonna do it. So I think what I'm gonna do is buy the pattern and look and see what the charts look like. But it's worsted weight, it's on US 7 needles, you're knitting in a tube. It's going to be a great stranded color work project as far as you're not having to worry about increase rounds. You can just follow your chart and go. She used a yak base, so I'm not sure if it's M-yak or M-yak. I have no idea. But she used the M-yak baby yak medium worsted weight yarn, so I know that probably just knits up very quickly. This is at the top of my list of those 3 cowls I just mentioned. I would love to knit that sometime before next winter. And then there's a couple of projects that I really like that sort of straddle the line of cowl / garment, and those are the collars that I have been seeing. But first of all, I wanted to share the Sunday Shrug, which was a free pattern just released by Jackie Rose. So I'm sure most of us watch the Caddy Jack's knitting podcast, and I have been loving seeing just a ton of these shrugs. It's a free pattern. There's already 215 projects on Ravelry. You can see lots of different colors. It's worsted and lace yarn held together, so it's gonna knit up really quickly. I love the ribbing. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think this would be a really cozy project that you could either wear up more on your neck or you could pull it down over your torso. I think this will be very versatile. A new pattern that I have been eyeing is one of those collar patterns, or I've also heard this style called a dickie. So it looks like a sweater whenever you have a coat on, but it's actually more of a cowl because you just have the collar and then you have a longer front so that when you have your coat on, it looks like the front of a sweater, but it's usually pretty short in the back, maybe about that far down. And I love it because you don't have to worry about trying to make it fit. I also think this would be a great gift because you don't have to know the size of the person that you're knitting it for. So this is the Coffee Run Collar, and it is a pattern by Samantha Guerin. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but she used Sonder yarn, and what she used was their fingering weight Sunday morning 4 ply held with their halo base. I believe the halo is their mohair, but they do also have their haze base, which is a Surrey, and that is what I would use because I am allergic to mohair. But I love the color. Green is my favorite color, and I just absolutely love this sagey green color. I think this color might be really nice to sort of bring out the green that I have hazeled in my eyes. I need all the help I can get. But it looks like it has a really nice, interesting textured pattern. And I like how the neck is up. I really like the look of that, but it's not squeezing your neck, which might be itchy and uncomfortable. Instead, this just looks super easy breezy, casual, super quick to throw on, effortless style. So that's very high on my list. So then I have a scarf pattern saved that I really love, and it is from the Pom Pom Quarterly issue 25, their summer edition, which was in 2018. It's called the Macklin, and it is a pattern designed by Suzanne Summer. I just think it is absolutely beautiful. And the colors that she used in the sample definitely give me that summertime vibe by the ocean. I really, really love it. It's gorgeous. She used Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is a fingering base. It looks like a lot of brioche in this shawl with some really pretty striping. And you're going to need 2 skeins of your 2 main colors and then 1 skein each of your contrasting colors. So maybe you could use Stash for your contrast colors. I just really like this, and I feel like the possibilities are endless. I'm surprised there's only 14 projects on Ravelry. Now I want to share a few shawl projects that I have got yarn for, and I am very excited to knit, hopefully soon. First of all is the Birds of a Feather pattern, and that is designed by Andrea Mowry. It looks like an asymmetrical triangle shape. It's longer rather than deep, and I love that because if I want to wrap it around my neck multiple times, I need it to be long. I don't want to feel like it's falling off. This pattern has different panels of lace weight, like a mohair base, however I'll be using Surrey, and then a fingering weight wool base for the second one. Recently I got some yarn from Little Fox Fibers, and this is what I'm going to be using for my Birds of a Feather shawl. This is a new singles base that she is either trying out or going to move to. I'm not entirely sure. This is not a superwash singles base. This is organic wool, non-superwash singles, and then this is their lace Surrey weight base, which is fluffy and soft beyond belief. So they're both in the color Lemon Squeezy, which I love, and I'm going to be using these for the 2 different panels. I actually have 2 of each. I don't know if I'll need to dip into the second skein on this, but we will see. I probably will. And I think this is going to be a super fun springtime shawl. I'm very excited to knit this up. I am waiting to start this because I only have a little bit of one sleeve left on my Alpenglow sweater, so I am going to have this as a reward cast on after I finish my Alpenglow sweater. Another pattern that I have shared with you before in my 2023 knitting plan that I have yarn for is the Cinnabar shawl. So I was recently able to go into a yarn store, which I am never able to do. I always have to order my yarn online. And I was able to get the most beautiful skeins of Woololo. Woololo is probably one of my favorite spin cycle dyed in the wool colors. And these three that I got were my favorite of the colors. So I'm very excited to cast this on. So as I said, I'm going to be using the dyed in the wool Woololo. I've got these three colors, and then as my other color I am using this Versus in, hang on here, what color is this? In Slow and Steady, which is basically a gray and cream marl color. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is super squishy, brioche, garter, and I think that color changing spin cycle yarn is really gonna shine in the shawl. So I cannot wait to cast that on. Another shawl I have yarn for is the Sojourner shawl. And this is a pattern which was written by Xandy Peters. And it was published in the Pom Pom Quarterly issue 27 winter from 2018. 2018 must have been a good year for Pom Pom patterns. These are both from summer and winter. So I'm going to be using the colors that they used in the sample. I absolutely love them. They're very close in color. This is a light fingering. Again, it is the Emiak Tibetan fibers. This color is Sangria and the lighter color is Ananda. So it's very soft. That yak gives it those beautiful muted dusty colors, and I'm in love. This shawl is a lot of brioche. So you're going to be using these two colors, which the closeness in shade, but this deeper color, I love how it gives it that shadowed look in the brioche. And then you have some beautiful, what looks like lace panel, and then a really fun fanned ribbing border. So as soon as I saw that shawl, I immediately fell in love with it. I feel like it's very dramatic and looks very much like a heritage piece from the 1800s. I think it's fabulous. Another shawl that I really want to make is the Bennett Sister shawl by Lindsay Fowler. So I actually have already made one of these shawls, and it was a gift for my mother. I really enjoyed knitting it. And I used the same color throughout, but half of it you hold fingering yarn with a Surrey or a mohair. Again, I use Surrey. However, this time I think I want to do half of the shawl in one color and half of the shawl in another color. So these were some collective colors from this summer from Woolberry Fiber Co. This is the Above the Clouds color, and I have it on Berry Merino and Berry Surrey. And then this is the Creamsicle color. They were actually two different colors from the same month, and when I saw them together, I thought they would be amazing in a shawl. This colorway is unbelievable. I wish I would have got a sweater quantity of it. I hope that she offers it again because I will get it. I absolutely love these together, and I think it would be super fun. I made the tassels with mine. I love it. So the fact that I want to knit it again lets you know it was a good shawl. Speaking of Lindsay Fowler, she also has just recently, like a month ago, released a pattern called the Anisadora shawl. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but it looks like an absolutely amazing pattern to use up minis. Excuse the crinkling, but I bought these minis from Naughty Pine Fiber Co. this fall, and there are just absolutely stunning colors. They're rich and deep and earthy and beautiful, and I always struggle with knowing what to use minis for, so I think this would be really a great pattern. I think that the moody colors would look fabulous in it. And what's really cool is you do not have to weave your ends in because the ends become your fringe. So I love this. It's knit on US 6. I think it'll knit up really quick. It's that classic triangle shawl shape, so you can wear it in multiple ways. I really like it. Another shawl I really want to knit this year is the Current Mood shawl by Leslie Ann Robinson, who you may know as Knit Graffiti on Instagram. This is an absolutely stunning wrap. The shape of it I really like. It's like a long rectangle, but you're knitting it on the bias, and it creates these gorgeous sections of brioche and stripes and lace work, and I'm in love. I absolutely love it. Recently, Erin from Coast to Coast Yarn Co. had her book tropes collection. Yeah. And I picked out these 3 colors specifically to make that shawl. So this is Grumpy Sunshine. This is Fall from Grace. And this is Chosen One. Y'all, the yarn literally shines. It is so beautiful. I got this on 100% superwash merino 4-ply fingering weight. It doesn't have nylon in it, which I'm not a huge fan of knitting with nylon. It hurts my hands a lot. But that superwash just makes these colors pop, and I cannot wait to knit this. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it will probably be a time investment. It is 1,125 yards of fabric, but I think with the constantly changing panels that it has in it, it's going to be very engaging and keep you interested and ready to move to the next section. All right, one more shawl I want to talk about is the Sophie shawl, which is a pattern by Petite Knit. This shawl and its sister, maybe I should call it niece because it's like the smaller version, or the daughter, but the Sophie scarf came first, so maybe not its daughter. So the Sophie shawl and its relative, the Sophie scarf, have taken the internet by storm. It is just, I've seen it everywhere. I did make my own Sophie scarf and I love it. It's so cute. I love to wear it in my hair. I like to wear it just wrapped once around my neck. I did make the smallest version of it. I used 2 strands of fingering held together. You can also use DK weight instead. So the Sophie shawl is basically just the larger version of the Sophie scarf. So the Sophie scarf is very simple to knit in the fact that it is garter stitch and you have the I-cord edge, so it's super neat and clean, and you are increasing every so many rows. It's a paid pattern, so I want to be careful what I say. However, if you want it to be even and look neat, you have to increase at the same point every so many rows. So here's my thought on that. Yes, it is simple. It's not like it's a difficult pattern to knit. However, I have a lot of distractions and it was very hard for me to remember what row I was on as far as increasing. And normally I would just look at it and count where I was at, but those increases are hiding in that garter stitch and I-cord edging. So I had a lot of trouble actually keeping up with where I was in the repeat of increase rows. While I want a Sophie scarf, I like the way it looks. I think it's really cool. I don't know if I want to commit to doing that again as far as trying to know where I'm at on the increases for a whole shawl. However, Goosey Fibers has a club that she is doing, which is the full moons of each month. And in January, it is called the Stay Home Moon, and she's doing a different colorway for each month. And I absolutely loved it. I got this on her 75-25 fingering weight base. And I thought it might be fun to hold them double and fade throughout a Sophie shawl. However, I'm still not sure I want to commit to keeping up with my increase rate. If you've made it and you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. But if that's the case, I might just make a garter stitch blanket out of these. I'm not sure. I almost forgot, last but not least is the Pearl Soho half and half triangles wrap. You either love it or you hate it. I personally love it. I think it's super fun. I think it's big and huge and beautiful. And I have loved knitting with the Pearl Soho linen quill. So after they recently restocked their bases, I got 3 skeins of the raw sienna color and 3 skeins of the peach stone color, and I plan on making a very neutral and earthy half and half triangles wrap as well this year. It is a free pattern and it is very simple, lots of garter, lots of knitting, but lots of easy knitting. Alright y'all, I hope you enjoyed hearing about some different patterns that I really love and would really love to make. Maybe you found some inspiration for something you would like to make as well. Let me know in the comments if you have a cowl, scarf, or shawl pattern that you think I would love. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me to continue producing video content. I also always appreciate every single one of your likes and comments. It means so much to me. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And until we chat again, happy knitting, y'all.